This is The Space Shot, episode 305 for March 15th, 2018. Discovery delivers the power and Forbidden Planet. I'm John Molnix. The last set of solar arrays for the International Space Station was launched into space in the payload bay of the Shuttle Discovery on March 15th, 2009. STS-119 was the 28th mission to the space station, with Discovery delivering this critical component and ferrying astronauts to and from this orbiting laboratory. Shuttle flights after the Columbia disaster all included the rendezvous pitch maneuver, a procedure that allowed the crew of the International Space Station to photograph the shuttle's heat shield in extensive detail. The photographs of the underside and leading edges of the orbiter were sent back to Earth, where NASA was able to examine them in greater detail and ensured that there was no damage to the shuttle. STS-119 was the first flight of American astronaut Joe Acaba, who just returned from the station at the end of February. He performed 2 spacewalks during the shuttle flight, helping to install the new solar array wings and truss element on the station. He wasn't the only passenger to launch for the first time. A stowaway bat was clinging for dear life to the shuttle's external tank. I guess it had decided to hitch a ride to space, but unlike the astronauts in the shuttle, this little bugger didn't make it. I've linked to a NASA page on this bat in the show notes, so be sure to check it out. A wildlife expert concluded that the bat had a broken wing, which prevented the little guy from flying away. I've got a bit of pop culture to mention today that I had forgotten about until Daryl from Mississippi sent me a message on Facebook. The movie Forbidden Planet came out on March 15th, 1956, and it stars Leslie Nielsen and Anne Francis. I haven't watched this movie in forever, so naturally I had to snag it on iTunes and watch it earlier today.
Imagine yourself as one of the crew of this faster-than-light spaceship of the future, sharing their curiosity to know the unknown, their tension, their readiness for inconceivable adventures.
Sir, we're being radar scanned.
United Planets cruisers...
I really enjoyed watching this movie again. For a movie that was made in the mid-1950s, I think it's a striking example of what was possible at that time with practical effects and storytelling. The matte paintings in this movie are beautiful, showing expansive alien vistas, and that combined with beautiful set design helps create an atmosphere that pulls you into the story. The acting is pretty good too. Usually when I think of Leslie Nielsen, I think of the comedian that we saw in the Airplane and Naked Gun movies. His performance in Forbidden Planet was enjoyable, and frankly, I think he would have made an excellent stand-in for a captain in Star Trek. Forbidden Planet starts with the United Planets cruiser C-57D, commanded by John J. Adams, played by Nielsen, approaching Altair 4 on a mission to discover what happened to a previous human mission to that planet. I don't want to spoil anything, but the action between the crew and the enigmatic Dr. Morbius and his daughter, played by Anne Francis, is exciting. Check out the show notes to links to Amazon and iTunes so you can rent or buy this movie. If you're a fan of sci-fi, it's significant from a stylistic and action point of view. Many later movies and TV shows owe much to Forbidden Planet, so take some time and check it out. Before you go, if you have ideas for the podcast, don't hold out on me. Send me topics you'd like to see discussed, ideas for interviews, and any burning questions you need to have answered. As I'm gearing up to move into the second year of the podcast, I'd love to dive into some topics in greater detail with more podcast guests. So, please send any ideas or questions to john@thespaceshot.com. That email is also in the show notes. Tomorrow, from Gemini 8 to EchoStar 23. Since you're here, do leave a review for the podcast in the Apple Podcasts app. A steady stream of reviews for The Space Shot helps ensure the podcast is more visible in the Apple Podcasts app. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or click the link in the show notes and you'll find me. You can also connect with me via email now. Just send one to john@thespaceshot.com and I'll answer back. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.